Hey there again, it's Dusty Thunder with another AITA story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for lying to family and friends about who's the infertile one between my wife and I? My wife, 32 female, and I, 32 male, have been married for 7 years and have been having unprotected sex for 3 years trying to have a baby. It has taken a toll on our marriage, and I admit that many times I have complained to family, friends, and coworkers about my wife's infertility. What I thought was my wife's infertility. Maybe it is because we live in Utah, but whenever the idea of us being infertile came up, people just swarmed in giving my wife recommendations to fertility specialists. The talk was always, oh, my wife saw Dr. Whatever and we ended up having twins, or maybe your wife is just too stressed out. And I believed it because my wife contracted TB when she was 20 and volunteered in another country. Her primary care provider, who she saw when she was back home, just flippantly told her that TB could affect the genital area and prevent her body from housing a baby. But obviously, she said it in medical lingo. We finally found a doctor who straight up told us that there was nothing wrong with her fallopian tubes or her endometrium. She suggested I get tested to see that I'm not the problem. The verdict comes back that I am the one with a very low sperm count. I was so shocked and went to get another opinion, which told me the same thing. I felt so shaken. And because a lot of people knew about our struggles, they also knew we went to a doctor again. At a family and friends gathering, people started asking me about what we found out. I just panicked and said that my wife's TB was likely the cause, but not 100% necessarily. Oh, bro. People saw that as my wife being the problem, and somebody even suggested I go through with divorcing her since I was 32 and complaining about being childless, saying I could be a dad within a year since if it was a short marriage. What I did not realize was that my mom and aunt would jump on that suggestion and start telling friends and their kids that I was getting a divorce, and that this was my wife's fault because she shouldn't have been so reckless when she was so young. Boop. More red flags here, bro. What was worse was some people thought it wasn't even TB, but a bacterial genital disease. This all got back to my wife through a friend, and she is furious. I wonder why, dude. I can't imagine why she would be upset about this at all. She said that she could not believe I've been painting her as the problem when she wasn't even the problem, and that she was tired of the pitying or disapproving looks that she was getting in our small town, and that I needed to set the record straight or at least tell everybody to shut up and that we are not divorcing. Am I the astronaut? I feel panicked. And I felt like I didn't completely lie because TB could be exacerbating our problem. But my mom really screwed things up by making it malicious. Now I'm in over my head and feeling really bad. I mean, there are a lot of people involved in this. Number one, it's no one else's business. But they chose to make it other people's business. And still, it got twisted around. But it was his inability to tell the truth that really caused this all to snowball, potentially end his marriage, but not for the reason that everyone thinks it is. It's because he let this lie roll out of panic or what. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why you did it. You still did it. And by doing so, this snowballed into something that could truly end your marriage. And this is not good. Okay, so here's the deal. If the whole narrative in the very beginning was that it was her TB that was the problem, but then after testing, they found out that it was actually him, and they could both be the problem. I mean, fertility is tough. Fertility is stressful. Involving the whole freaking community in every detail of it is not a great idea because it is stressful, and this is not a takes a village to make things go easier kind of thing. This is something you have to deal with as a couple and just work through because other people are going to be pulling things out of context. And if having kids in your community is so flippin' important that they're willing to discard your wife just so you can go have a child with a different woman, probably not the people you want to be confiding in and finding support in anyway. That's not a healthy approach to anything. No. But letting your wife take the fall when you knew at least there was something wrong with you as well snowballed into this. I understand there's some cultural variables in here that have to be considered, but it doesn't make this okay. None of it makes it right. Hubby here, you get to take a trip. This was a shit thing to do. Now, remember, when we get into ratings, this is a situational thing. He was an ASCON 1 in this situation. That's not a permanent label. This is something that he could work himself out of, but he's got to be willing to balance the scales. To balance things out, he's got to set the record straight, but then it would probably be smart to be like, okay, moving forward, everything that we do with our fertility is going to be between us. We're not including anybody in anything because y'all are not helping. You're just making things worse and more stressful and potentially ruining my frickin' marriage. So just take a step back, Ma. Just take a step back. Now I'm in over my head and feel really bad. You think? Yeah, when a lie goes too far, that it might end your marriage. That's the problem.